Hey guys, here is a quick video I wanted to do for the restore part of the brief of this month. So I just wanted to show you briefly how we could use the clone tool to kind of clean all the elements that we were supposed to remove. So let's pick the car, for example, which is here. So we want to get rid of this car. So how could we do this properly so we can always go back if we need to and be sure that everything is working fine? So you could eventually start to just create a new layer and start to paint with the clone tool something to get rid of this car here. But that wouldn't necessarily be the best approach, because as you can see, you're gonna have to make sure that you have the lights that are the same, the color that are the same. And if you start to be in another part of the image from the same depth in it, you probably won't have this result. So let's say now that you want use, for example, which is here, and start to clean it from there. If I start to clone from here, what's gonna happen is that yes, I'm gonna have eventually a better result at the beginning, but if I do this, as you can see, I'm gonna have some repetition here. It's called the sursampling, and it's due to the fact that I'm gonna use and reuse the same pattern to clone my image. So that will be an issue as well. Why is it happening? Because if you look at the position of your brush, you can see that the cross is always coming exactly where you've painted before. So that's why you have the pattern and the repetition of the same pattern. You could eventually go from another direction. Let's say I want to start here and I'm gonna paint from there. So I'm sure I won't be in the same position, but the problem I'm gonna face here this time is a problem of scale. It will be wrong because I'm using something which is smaller than what I want to do. And the result of this is that even if I then decide to just scale this section, I will have a problem with the resolution because I'll be too soft. If I zoom in now, you can see that here it's a bit softer than here, so that won't work. So basically, when you clone something, the best is to try to stay on the same line, because at least you're sure that the resolution of what you're gonna clone is gonna be alright. So for this guy, for example, here, that could be alright. I could do this, because here this section is gonna reuse these colors here, so it should be fine. If I do this, I'm still around, so it should be kind of alright. So let's get rid of this guy. Try to keep your clone at 100% if you can, because of opacity, I mean, because if you don't do this, you risk to see some soft areas, so you don't want to have soft areas. So try to clone and use a brush which is 100% of opacity. So here it is. You see, I try always to use what's on the same Z depth and be sure that I won't have any problems with the sursampling and stuff like that. So I'm just going fast just to show you that for small stuff like this, that should be alright. Let's go back to our car now. So if I zoom out, okay, that's okay. We don't really see anything, so that's fine. Maybe you could just do a bit of extra work just for this section here, just to be sure that we don't have anything catching the eye. So that's it. We have the guy here, which is fine. So how are we gonna deal with this car here? Let's talk about this. What I personally like to do is trying to use like big photo area which is gonna work, and that I can use as a base. So if I look at this, for example, section here, I can see that I have a very clean part of the street. So let's try to use that. So I'm just gonna grab this, something like this, just copy and paste, and I'm gonna bring it around my car. So I'm gonna have to scale it and make sure that it's gonna be aligned. So as because I'm using a part which is in front of it, I'm sure that I won't be too soft because it's already better that you know, it's where I'm supposed to be. So that's it. I'm just gonna start by putting in there, roughly align it, so I can see that this line won't work for now, but I don't really need to do anything else for now. We'll wait and see. Let's start to do a bit of grading on it, just to try to be a bit closer. So let's focus on this area, for example, for now as a start. So you can make sure that you're gonna start to have something that looks good. Something like this, let's say, for this section here. Let me bring this so you can see everything. And I'm just gonna paint where I want. So something like this. Let's create a mat as well for this, just to get rid of this. Okay, let's just double check where the actual car is, because we always want to keep as much as we can the original plate. So let's start by just removing the car itself. So that's exactly my section here. All right, let's try to keep it as well, actually. Okay, so let's just readjust this a bit more. All right, let's just get rid of this line. Actually, I'm gonna do it later. Let's just see where it stops. Okay, that would be somewhere here. Let's just readjust this a little bit. All right. So you can see now that I have this hard line here, so it's kind of working in this section, but here it doesn't work. So I need to make sure that the transition here is better. So let's just create another adjustment layer for this. Here it is. Okay, and just paint a bit this. Okay, cool. Okay, so that was for this section here. Now we're gonna have to focus on this one here, so I can do the same. I always use a lot of adjustment layer because that's the best way to work in a non-destructive method. So that's great. So let's put it black and start to paint just to make the transition. Okay, so now let's see if I can just move this line a bit further down. It's not necessarily good. So I could do different things. I'm gonna try to just work on the top of this maybe. And try to just get rid of this one. So again, be careful of the sampling issues that we were talking about just a bit earlier, and make sure that you have something which is looking alright. So it's important to always go back to the original stuff to see how far you are and how much you removed. So it's kind of working already. I'm gonna have to finish this section now. So here I'm gonna start by just doing a big remove. I'm gonna clone. It's gonna be small pieces by small pieces, like this. Make sure that the perspectives are alright, and try to imagine what you could have in this area. So you can have a look at, you know, the different section, like here. Here you probably can grab a bit of this texture because you don't feel too much scale, so that's not that problematic to just pick this, and you just go slowly and you do your stuff. Just make sure you don't see any repetitions, any doubling. And yeah, always double check what you got. And basically the whole point of this is to just not look at it at the end. You just don't want to see any specific stuff, so you don't want the eye to be catched in any specific area. So we're almost there. You don't necessarily have to go fast. Here we go. Let's always go back and have a look from a bit, you know, further. So if I just do this, for example, to close my area by a straight line, it will feel a bit strange, because it's gonna be probably too sharp and sharper than the rest of it. You see a line here where in this section you have different things. So you need to think about recreating the accidents. So just pick few areas from here and there and just add few pieces of accidents like this, like just to create a bit of details. Otherwise it's gonna seems to be fake. That wouldn't be so clean. There is no reason. Everything has some snow, some glass, some ice, sorry, some different kind of stuff landing on the ground. So just do it. Just add the accidents, add the small details here and there by just grabbing a little bit of details. Have a look at how the streets are. So it's quite clean, but you just have some ice, so just grab some ice as well, and that's how you're gonna recreate here this feeling that it's okay. So if I just compare the before and after, I just managed to keep as much as I could. Actually, I still have a quick stuff to fix here. I have this section here which is just a bit too dark, and actually I could keep the original, so let's try to use it as it is, because it's always better. Even this section could be used. It's coming from this one as well. Yeah, better. Here it is. So now I already removed my car and the guy. So that's pretty much what we need to do for all the different sections here. So again, the car, the guy, this section here, this piece here. So feel free to just grab a piece of this wall and try to put it there. For the crane, it's gonna be reusing a lot of these elements, but make sure that the perspectives line are correct. So to do this, you know, don't forget to just put your perspective lines. So you can use this tool, the underline, and make sure that you're gonna find, you know, your perspective points, and then finish the work. Just pick a color which is quite obvious, and then based on that, you're going to be able to find where the lines are supposed to be and finish the stuff. So don't necessarily keep everything after in your comp like this. When you're happy of what you've done for the restore, at least you can start by grouping everything at the beginning, and then when you're sure that it will be fine, then you just flatten it and then you call it restore, and you're gonna put all your restore in the same, because that's something that, you know, it's good or it's not good. It's not just in between, you know. Once it's done, it's done. So that's it really. I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial and that you found some stuff interesting in it. Thanks guys, see you soon on DMP Coach.